You're listening to the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the place where you, as a dad, will gain more tools for your fathering toolbox, and where moms and daughters are also invited to listen into the conversation. Now, here is your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dad Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, and I'm so excited that you're joining me here again today, especially if you're a dad who wants to add more tools to your fathering toolbox. Well, the grid that guides our conversation every week is simply on your mark, get set, go. So, Dad, I want you to picture yourself standing side by side with other dads getting ready to run your fathering race this week, and I'm on the sidelines as your coach cheering you on and saying, on your mark, get set, go. On your mark is the topic or the theme. Get set, filling that in with stories and stats, and go is always your practical action step so that you can put your love for your daughters and your sons into action this week. Well, today on the program, I have two awesome guest coaches joining me, Bill and Pam Farrel. I honestly have heard about them for years, and I'm so excited that we're finally making this happen because I've often referenced their best-selling book for years, which is Men Are Like Waffles, Women Are Like Spaghetti. Okay, is that the best title ever? Well, apparently I'm not the only one who loves it because at least over 300,000 other people have already purchased the book and their resources. So you're definitely going to want to stay connected with them after you hear their hearts today. Well, the book is primarily for couples, but we're going to adapt that today to really fit for the dad-daughter relationship. Well, let me tell you a little bit about them. Bill and Pam Farrel are relationship specialists, international speakers, and authors of more than, okay, drum roll, 30 books. They are the co-founders and directors of Love Wise and Farrel Communications, organizations that help today's couples and families develop relational wisdom. They've been happily married for more than 30 years, and their passion is to help others learn how relationships really work. They have 3 married sons. They now have 7 grandkids, and their family is growing by the day, and I am so excited for you all to hear about them today and from them. Welcome, Bill and Pam Farrel.
Thank you, Michelle. So good to meet you. Yes, we have all the same friends.
Thanks for taking an athletic beginning.
Yes.
Very athletic family. So
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
cool.
so we're like, yes.
We're ready.
We're competitive.
I'm right there with you, so that's awesome.
We couldn't sing, so we went competitive.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome. Well, with 3 boys, too, you're like, let's just get down and dirty.
All athletic scholarships. We are grateful. Oh,
that's awesome. Well, On Your Mark today is a take on their book, and we're just calling it Dads Are Like Waffles, Daughters Are Like Spaghetti. Okay, now for Get Set, we're going to break that down and help that make more sense for dads. So first of all, I just want to ask you, can the things that you've shared about husbands and wives in your book, can that apply to the dad-daughter relationship?
For sure, because it goes down to our DNA, XX, XY, God created the differences. So we can adapt God's great wisdom every direction.
Okay, cool. Anything you want to add to that, Bill?
Yeah, like one of the main things dads are trying to figure out in their life is who are these women that God's put in my life?
Yes.
He's trying to figure out his wives, trying to figure out his daughters, and there is just a mystery to the whole thing.
And now granddaughters in our
Yes.
case.
So if dads can learn, here's the strengths that God put in me as a dad.
Yes.
Here's the strengths God put in my girls as daughters.
Yeah.
They can maximize the relationship. But if you don't learn the differences, you just try to impose your will on each other, and it's a big conflict.
Well, I'd love you to share then a little bit of the backstory because I read about it, but I want you to tell the story about how you even came up with this title in the first place.
Right. So you have to know that we had just moved to a new community. Bill was a lead pastor of a small church, and we wanted to make a difference in our community. And so we're both athletes. And we thought, okay, let's jump into youth sports. We have kids, and they're athletic. They're
Makes
little.
sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So Bill became like the president of the basketball league.
And we have been doing a lot of work with couples and families, and we knew that this difference between men and women was a big issue in family life. So we were doing research, and we were looking for a way to describe it, because most people don't talk in clinical language,
Right.
They don't talk in research language, and we were looking for something guy-friendly. Because getting women to talk about relationships, that's like
Easy.
fishing at the hatchery. Yeah. getting men to engage is much harder.
Yes.
So I was carrying this thought in the back of my head. Okay, I need to find a guy-friendly way to do this. Guys like sports, guys like food, guys like cars, guys
Winning.
like the outdoors. So that's all just kind of rolling in my head. And then I'm helping out with this basketball league, and a guy walks up to me and says, "Hey, you're a pastor, right?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you ever meet with couples?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, can I bring my wife in? I think she's broken." Now, I'm curious at this point. One, why is the guy initiating this? And
Which is
second,
great.
what does he mean by my wife's broken? So I made an appointment. They came to my office, and they sat down, and we prayed, and then he said, "Okay, go ahead."
And she started talking from subject to subject to subject to subject, hopping all over the place.
While she's talking, he looks at me and says, "She does this all the time. I think something's wrong with her, like something's broken, and we got to fix it."
You know, dads listening are going, you just described my
My
relationship
daughter.
with my daughter or my wife or my ex-wife.
And it was one of those moments where it all came together. And I said to him, "Hey, think about her conversation like a plate of spaghetti. There's a bunch of noodles on the plate. She has to touch every noodle on the plate, and she'll jump from one to the other seamlessly.
Yeah, and they're all touching each other at the
They
same
are.
time.
You'll think she changed subject, but she didn't. She's just traveling through all the noodles." And he went, "Okay." So he just leaned in and listened to her.
So
Wow.
she continued to talk for 55 straight minutes.
Oh, my
And then she
goodness.
finally took a breath and she's like, okay, that was great. My husband listened to me for all that time, like didn't interrupt, and it felt so good. Okay, I am like spaghetti. What's my husband like?
And just a side note, he looked at me and said, "What do I do now?" I said, "Nothing. Just thank her for sharing and just leave it at that."
Yeah, don't have to fix it.
And then
Right.
I said to her, "Well, we're out of time for today, but we'll meet in a couple of
Next
weeks, and I'll
week.
explain to you what the man side is like." So they left. I walked out of the meeting. I said, "God, I have 2 weeks. I need a food analogy that illustrates how men think,
Compartmentalize.
because we have a deadline now."
Yeah.
And I committed to the food thing. So my boys were making toaster waffles one day, and I said, "I think that would work."
Yeah.
And so I went back to this couple. And I said, "Okay, here's how guys do it. It's like a waffle. There's a bunch of boxes. All those boxes are separated from one another by walls. And the way we operate is the first issue in life goes in the first box, second issue, second box, third issue, third box. We spend time in one box at a time and one box only."
Yes.
So I said to the guy, "It's your turn to talk today. Is there something you want to bring up?" He said, "Yes." So I turned to her and I said, "You cannot change the subject,"
We're going to stay on this one subject.
knowing she probably wouldn't. And I
Stay
would
in the
have to
waffle
correct
square.
her.
That's right.
Yeah. So 6 times I had
Love
to stop
it.
her and say, "Write it down. We'll talk about it later." And they solved the issue in my office. That
Saved him from divorce.
Isn't that
So
something?
Bill came home and he's like, okay, God gave me this illustration. Men are like waffles and like spaghetti. What do you think you shared at this conference? And I'm like, well, it's kind of corny, but I trust you and I trust God. Let's do it. And the rest,
The
God
rest
just,
is history.
Yes, right. Like 15 plus languages. There's a singles version. There's
Wow.
a teenage version. I mean, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Well, let's just even put this here on the front end. I would ask this at the end, but tell guys where they can find this. Women listening as well. Where can they find your resources?
Well, our ministry's love-wise, and so we like to say we park ourselves on the corner of God's love and God's wisdom. So love-wise.com.
Okay, good.
any
Yeah.
of the booksellers, so Amazon's got
Yeah,
it.
all
Yeah.
those,
Got it.
yeah.
And if you forget all that, do an internet search on waffles and spaghetti.
We show up. We're the only
You'll
ones.
find it.
On the page.
I love it. And I think, honestly, I can just say for me in reading your book, my biggest takeaway that I felt so validated, because often with my husband, I'm like, I don't know what point I'm trying to make, but I'll figure that out as I talk it out. And I've always said that women figure things out by talking.
Sure.
And so often men say, well, I'll listen if I know the point you're making. And it's like, well, I don't know the point till it's come out of my mouth.
Yes,
And can
so
I give
good.
dads a clue on the point?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the-
please
the,
do.
The point of all of this is that if a female thinks you're important, she wants to connect her life to you. Because if she gets enough of her life connected to you, you become a trustworthy person in her life.
Yes.
So the point is, my daughter is trying to create trust in our relationship with me.
Yes,
And
that
so
is
let
profound.
her connect her life to you.
Yes.
And if she keeps enough of her life connected to you, you become the expert in her life. Because you are a trustworthy individual.
You know, honestly, if that was the only takeaway a dad really gained today, that would be worth the price of admission. Because your daughter connected to you, I mean, the research backs that up. Every part of a daughter's life is better if she feels connected. So that's back to the heart turn that God talks about in Scripture and at the end of the Old Testament. It says if that doesn't happen, he'll come and strike the land with a curse, which I don't think we have to look very far, do we, for that? But how do you connect? That's what oftentimes I'm talking to dads about. Okay, I know the word. What does it mean?
Exactly.
And you're just saying it means listening to all the places she goes. It doesn't matter if they make sense to you, because somehow they'll tie together to her. And that was my biggest takeaway is I'm now going to be able to say to my husband, just keep listening. It's all spaghetti. And I think you've probably heard this over and over, is it almost makes it a metaphor out here so it's less negative. It's not like what's wrong with you, what's broken,
Right.
like that
Right.
couple say. It's just, this is how God wired our brains. Sometimes I don't like it any more than you do, but sometimes it feels like I can't do much about that.
Right, because God created it for a good reason. Bill has like a really fun illustration with our grandkids that happened at a football game that really drives home that point.
So our oldest son is a high school football coach. So I make a habit of going down on the field, and my grandkids will join me. So I got my grandson and my granddaughter. And it's fourth quarter. My grandson gets in this group. He walks up to me, hands me a football, says, "Papa, set it up." I set it up. He kicks it, runs and gets the ball, runs it back, goes, "Papa, set it up." I set it up. He kicks the ball. He runs and gets it, brings it back.
Papa, set it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
we do this over and
yeah.
over. While he's doing that, my granddaughter is standing right next to me, and she's telling me what she wore to school on Monday, and what friends she talked to, and what she had for lunch, and what homework is hard, and then the clothes that she wore on Tuesday, and the other friends
Oh,
she
my
had.
goodness.
Told me her entire week, undaunted by her brother running back and
Set it
forth,
up.
saying,
Set it up.
And what I want to say is double points for Papa, because that was a lot you were doing at the same time, multitasking.
Well, at this same granddaughter, on my birthday this year, we were with all the grandkids, and Pam asked the grandkids, "What do you appreciate about Papa?" And that granddaughter said, "He's really relatable." You know, I
How
was waiting.
old is she?
What's she going to say? 15 and a half.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay,
what's she going to say? What's she
relatable.
going to say? And when she said it, I went, we got
Connected.
Oh, we got trust developed. Oh, I love that. Okay, this really is a great tie-in to a quote that I wrote down that you have in your book, which is the bottom line with men is they feel best about themselves when they're solving problems. Therefore, they spend most of their time doing what they're best at while attempting to ignore areas in which they feel deficient, which is often what I've discovered about Martians, right? I'm from Venus, but I say I'm bilingual now. I speak Martian and Venusian. But what we know is that at the end of the day, if a daughter feels like she's a problem worth solving, that isn't going to build trust. It's not going to connect her to a dad. So what would you say to that dad that says, okay, I know my innate wiring to problem solve. She doesn't want me to solve her problem. What do you tell that dad to do?
Oh, well, I would say to the dad, this is a skill we need to add to our life that is, you're not going to learn this from your guy friends. Because when guys get together, we're trying to figure out the point, solve a problem, overcome a challenge, and we encourage each other in that area. Well, when you start adding females to your life, whether it's a wife or a daughter, now you have to add a new skill. And that skill is, the best way I know to describe it to men is you need to learn recreational conversation.
Recreational conversation. I've never heard that word.
If you
I
took
think
a
Bill
walk
might have
around
coined
the
it.
park with somebody that you like,
Uh-huh.
you don't finish the walk and then go, okay, I want you to tell me everything you saw. We're gonna detail every scene, and we're gonna evaluate. We don't do that. We just went for a walk and went, gosh, thanks for doing that. I mean, we laughed. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Well, we need to learn that art in conversation, because all of the women in your life are going to just want to verbally share their life with you. They don't want to be analyzed. They don't want to be fixed. They don't want to be figured out. They just want to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
So men have to learn the art of curiosity. Mm-hmm. Like, I know when I got married, I thought there's coming a day that I'm going to understand my wife. I don't know what day it's going to be, but I'm going to ask her enough questions. I'm going to spend enough time with her, and I'm going to wake up one day and say, I understand her. Well, I've been married 43 years now. And
Oh, 43. Oh, man, I was way off on my stats, wasn't I?
my only concept now is I'm still curious about the love of my life. And I will be curious for the rest of my life. I apply that to my granddaughters. I apply that to my daughter-in-laws. Because if I stay curious, they remain valued.
Excellent.
So men have to learn that skill.
Yeah, I love that. Anything you want to add, Pam?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've seen Bill do with our granddaughters is he is a safety net. So if they are struggling with some IT thing, or if they want, a picture hung in their room, just the practical, like, Dad, can you do this with me, for me? and listen to me while you're doing it. That builds a relationship a lot because there's hearts, each one of our girls' hearts have dreams and hopes and aspirations. But oftentimes, if you get a girl doing something she loves, she'll start talking, and then you're going to get more and more information about her. For example, our middle son, he has a daughter, and our oldest son has 2 daughters. And so they take their girls once a year to daddy-daughter dance, right?
Uh-huh.
And so the little one is 7. And he came home, he said, okay, hon, like every week we're going to have a date. And she goes, can we do a daddy-daughter dance every week?
Oh, that's cute.
So she found something she loved to do with dad. And he set aside that time and he listens to her heart.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't raised going to ballet shows. She's a dancer. So he's there, building the sets or whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Well, what would you say to the dad? Because this is what I hear sometimes in the trenches of my counseling office is dads that say, I'm maxed out at the end of the day. I have no ability to listen. I already used my 7,000 words, as Lou Ann Brizendine says, right, in the female brain. She's, it's a generalization, but that men typically use 7,000 words a day, women 20,000, almost 3 to 1. What do you say, Bill, to the dad that goes, I got nothing left. I can't listen to any more words.
I would say to dads, based on my own experience and things that I have learned, is that idea that I'm maxed out, it's kind of an illusion. Because as men, we tend to carry work home. And when we see home as an extension of work, we have nothing left to give. But if we create a routine from work to home, where we prepare ourselves. So if we choose markers on the road, say, when I hit this marker, I'm going to start shutting work down. And I'm going to leave work behind me. And then when I get to the next marker, I'm going to start thinking about, okay, how am I going to relate when I first walk through the door? And when I get to the door, what's the first thing I'm going to say? Who's the first person I'm going to greet? And then how am I going to put myself in a frame of mind where I'm now family-focused, not work-focused? What happens when you make all those decisions on your way home is you recapture emotional energy. You go to a different part of your waffle box, and you're no longer at work now. Now you're in a relatable family box, and you rediscover energy that allows you to then interact with your family and listen to your daughters.
Oh,
but if you don't go through the process of going home, you'll just be in the same box you were in all day, and that exhausted you, and now you come home exhausted.
That even reminds me of, using the sports metaphor again, is that how often is a team going to run some plays ahead of time? If this happens, go here. If this happens, and you have a strategy that you've already thought through so that whatever is quote unquote thrown at you, you have some options.
And I would even say, pick a route you can do again in case you get to the last
and you're not ready.
Go back and
do a lap.
Again,
do a
so
lap.
you get to the front door, you're ready for your
I know moms
Awesome.
can help a lot there too. I have great daughter-in-laws, and so they have encouraged their kids, okay, we're going to take 5. Give dad 5 minutes, and I know you want to spend time with them, and then let's bless dad first.
That's
give him his
excellent.
favorite snack or whatever. Yeah. Then he'll be ready to listen. So
cool. So it's kind of a
teamwork.
win-win as a team. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the Farrels will continue sharing more practical tips for you as dads to dial into your daughter's heart space.
Are you a dad who has ever desired a deeper connection with your daughter, but haven't known how to go about it? Let's Talk Conversation Starters for Dads and Daughters is the very resource you need. Dr. Michelle wrote it with you dads in mind. This book will support you with scripted questions, equip you to decode your daughter, and inspire you with stories of other dads and daughters. Don't wait any longer to be the hero you want to be and that your daughter needs you to be. So, to let the talking begin, head on over to drmichellewatson.com/books and order your copy today. This book will become a favorite in your fathering toolbox and will give you the answers you've been looking for. That's drmichellewatson.com/books. Now, back to the Dad Whisperer podcast.
Welcome back. I'm here today with authors and relationship specialists Bill and Pam Farrel. We're talking about how dads are like waffles, daughters are like spaghetti. Well, I love in your book how you talk about the brain. I love neurology. neurobiology, psychology, that kind of thing, because right, some dads say it's hard data. Like I can look at the stats, I can look at some of that information. So in your book, you have a chapter titled Different by Design, or a section, and you share some data points about like physical differences between male and female brains. What do you want to say about that? That might be helpful for some dads listening that like science and stats.
I'm going to give you just a fun illustration first, in that a toy company wanted to see how boys and girls played differently, so they put a trampoline in the room, and they put the girls in first just to observe how they played. And the girls immediately came up with a little social system. One little girl, she was the timekeeper, and she made sure everybody got the same amount of time on the trampoline so nobody's feelings would get hurt. Then they brought the boys in.
All the boys jumped up on the trampoline at the same time, started jumping up and down, pushing each other off, and the last guy on the trampoline got the longest turn. Which all guys think, of course, he got the longest turn.
Of course, that makes sense.
He's the alpha male.
And
Yes.
then they wanted to create a dollhouse that both boys and girls would play with. Now, after raising up boys, I'm like, I could have saved them a lot of money, and the dollhouse is not going to do it, okay? But anyway, They wanted to see how boys and girls would play with the dollhouse. So the little girls came in, and they were decorating and moving the furniture
Of
around.
course.
And the girls were talking to each other, their little dollies, and a big social system. The family was created. And then they brought the boys in.
And the boys went and found the baby carriages and started launching them off the roof to see how far they would fly.
They're just different.
There you go.
And what I would say to dads, like the two most important things I think physically, one is all females have more connections between the two sides of their brain than men do. Because when men are in the womb, there's a testosterone bath that happens that severs some of the connections between the two brains, sends a signal out for other connections not to develop. So when you are problem solving, men tend to stay on one side of the brain. So if a man starts on the right side or the left side, he'll stay there and work through the problem. His daughter is jumping back and forth between the two sides of her brain while they're discussing. And so the girls will naturally tie every thought to an emotion and every emotion to a thought, which is why women tend to have better memories, because they attach everything to an emotion.
Yeah, emotional memory.
While dad's trying to eliminate the emotion in the conversation. And so if dads recognize when they bring up something to discuss with their girls, the girls are going to tie thoughts and emotions together seamlessly.
Yes.
And the men need to let them process through both sides. Yeah. And then as much as he can, say, honey, what would you like to do about this? Because if he gets the decision-making process rolling, it harnesses and focuses the emotional energy and helps her get there quicker.
Say the question that a dad, that might be your go stepdad today. What's the question when he's probably a deer in headlights going, there were so many words, there was so much spaghetti.
What are we talking about?
I've got sauce all over my face.
Honey, what would you like to do about this?
What would you like to do about
It
that?
puts her in decision-making mode. Yeah. And the thing I wish people had told me earlier in life is that emotions follow decisions.
Yes, they do.
So if we can teach our daughters to be better decision makers, they harness the emotional energy of their life rather than it running crazy.
Excellent, excellent.
And what we as men try to do is it becomes simple to us, so we just tell them what to do, which takes away their decision making and creates emotional turmoil that then confuses them.
Exactly.
Most successful dads that we've seen have great relationships with their daughters also help their daughters, like when the flood of tears comes, because little girls can really soak those tears for all they're worth.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they'll wrap their arms around that little girl and hold her and say, okay, in 1 minute, I'm going to ask you what you want to do about this. And we're going to dry up our tears and have that conversation. So he helps prepare her to be a decision maker and capture her own emotions, not just let her emotions run her.
I remember one time when my dad, we had to take one of our dogs, and I'm an adult. I was done with school. I'm in private practice, as a counselor. And we're taking our dog to the pound because we have to put him down. He was old and 14. And tears are coming down, and he's in the front seat on my lap, which he never got to do the front seat. I'm feeding him Rolos and Junior Mints because usually you don't feed dogs candy, but now it didn't matter. Right. So he's in hog heaven. But my dad looked at me and said, I can't take care of you and the dog. And I just said, Dad, I don't need you to take care of, I'm just feeling my feelings. But see, I think dads often get overwhelmed because he felt like I was his to fix or to take care of. And I think if you can ride that wave with your daughter, she'll calm down. She's got that midbrain is on fire. So it floods. We call it that prefrontal cortex, it goes offline. But that's oftentimes part of the process of your daughter getting to calm, is getting that emotion out first.
Well, and I would even say to dads, start monitoring how long it takes your daughter to do that.
So you know your girl.
Oh, I love that.
Because they all have a rhythm.
Yeah, and they're all different.
Yep.
So it might take her 10 minutes, it might take 5, it might take 15. But if you know, on average, it takes my daughter about 12 minutes to get there. Then
You
the
guys
first,
are
the first
awesome.
12 minutes is just, I'm just taking the journey. I'm waiting for it to calm down, and then we'll start talking.
And I can't hurry her up because we all have our own wiring. And if you try to, it's going to backfire.
It gets louder usually, yeah.
Back to curiosity.
We're back to, you guys are so practical. You are so my people. I love this because I don't think dads need more theory. They've got enough information, but when you're making it practical, here's what you can say, here's what you can do, which is now a great segue into, I underscore the word love, that you talk so much about communication from the beginning of your book to the end. And you obviously are demonstrating that here today, because that's why I wrote Let's Talk, which actually my husband said you could call it Let's Talk and Listen.
Yes,
but that's
for sure.
such a hard skill. But we have 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason. And so I love that you said, Bill, you can learn this skill, Dad.
Absolutely. It's just a skill.
It's
not an inborn trait.
Exactly.
Right,
and
it's a skill.
all men are in the same boat.
Yes.
Even though that might be on a continuum, if you have the mindset of I'm going to learn from my daughter how to better pace with her, she'll feel that back to the connection. Yep. Curiosity, I love it. So you actually talk about 4 levels of communication. So can you share more about those?
Can I throw one thing in
Of course,
as a setup?
yes.
Because if you want to work on communication, one of the best places to do it is over a meal. Because when men eat, the part of their brain that makes them happier gets stimulated. So you as a dad are happier in the environment. And the part of the female brain that sharpens her eyesight becomes stimulated when she eats. So she becomes more aware of herself and more aware of her environment. So if you're in the habit of taking your daughter out for a simple date and talking there, you will find it easier.
Come on. And dads, I'm going to add my own take to that is I have found that when there's a rhythm and there's their place,
Yes.
even going back to that same place, because I know a daughter, after her dad has now gone to heaven, she'll go back to where he would take her for ice cream cones after her music lessons. And then that place becomes a symbol, a metaphor of where that connection happened.
That's so true. I had a dysfunctional relationship with my dad, who was an alcoholic, severe rage. So I'm like the girl who Abba Father had to heal her heart so that I could then relate to my dad. But God can work the relationship both directions. So as a daughter, I made it my goal, Lord, you've healed my heart, help me be a healing agent to my dad now. And so he loved country music. And so that became a bridge that I could start rebuilding a relationship. And then when he went to heaven, what do I listen to on Miss Dad? I listen to country music. There you go. So that place, it's an emotional place as well as a location.
Even music, something that becomes that. Thank you so much, Pam, for sharing that. What's happening in your heart, even just telling that story about your dad?
Well, I think sometimes if you've been an imperfect dad, like if there's something in your past, it's very easy for a dad to just I just want to escape. I don't want to face up to what I've done. But honestly, one of the things that God did when I was a very young mom, had a teeny tiny baby, God said, Pam, I have taught you how to forgive your dad, and I extended that forgiveness. Now I want you to write a blessing to your dad and write the things he did right, not the things he did wrong. The things he did wrong, that was a very long list.
Okay.
But God reminded me of a day when I was a really little girl, and Dad and I did an Easter egg hunt, and I won the grand prize because Daddy saw a smashed and broken golden egg, and he brought me over. And so we carried this broken egg to the judges, and I got this big, prize basket. I was proud of Dad. He was proud of me. So God gave me a word picture so that I could write this tribute. I gave it to my dad at Christmas. My dad said to me, Charlie, thank you so much for using your kind words to write such nice things about this bad old good old boy. If you ever want to use our life story to help other dads and daughters, you can do that, Charlie girl. So I do. Aww. And I tell you, our relationship was really rebuilt. I have a much closer relationship with my dad before he went to heaven than my siblings who didn't take that extra God told me to do this step.
Yes.
Forgive, and then, bless my dad and thank him for the things he did do right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for
So
sharing that. And you're really modeling to those listening that we can do this work on forgiveness and healing at any age.
At any age.
What were you going to say about that, Bill?
I was going to jump to the question you asked because I'm in.
Oh, see? Okay, we're living this out. I'm listening to your wife, and you're like, I'm ready to go on the 4 levels of communication.
The 4 steps. The first
You know what I always
is-
call? We go the scenic route, and then we get back to the main highway. Thank you.
Ask me a question.
Thank you, sir, for
I was
bringing
on
us
a
back.
country road here.
Yeah, we were on a country road. Take me home.
That's right.
Okay, thank you for keeping us on track. Okay, Mr. Farrell, what do you have for us? What are the 4 levels of communication, sir?
So you want the 4 levels or the 4 keys to being a good listener?
You know, I
Let me
will
just
let
give it
you.
all.
I think that's the harder one.
I will let you
I think
take that
as
where you
guys,
want.
we have a really hard time listening.
you're right.
because we want to get to the point so quickly that we miss the
Yeah.
heart of the conversation. So I know my relationship with my whole family changed when I learned that the first step in being a good listener is to repeat key phrases. That rather than try to respond to everything they say, you just pick out the most important thing they said. Which the most important thing is either going to be something that's emotional, something that's unexpected, or something that they say and then run away from really quickly. And so if you look for those and you just repeat it back. So like if Pam were to say, I had a really frustrating day today and I did this and this and that, and at the end of the day I just felt like I was a failure. If I say to her, wait, you felt like a failure,
Or you were frustrated.
she's going to have permission
emotion
to keep
word.
talking.
Emotion words, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
And if men can start to learn that, when their daughters are talking, and then they just pick out the key phrase, feed it back to them in a tone of voice that says, I'm interested.
Yeah.
It starts the listening process.
You would almost think that we had talked before because I teach dads listen for the keyword or the last word. If they can't and ask who, what, when, where, how, that we learned
So
early and
good.
pair them. I say use why as infrequently as you can because it's a looping question. I don't know.
And for the men who
But
need
I
to
love
know
that
the
you
answer
brought
to
that.
the why question, the answer is because.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
there you go. You have
okay.
your answer now.
Other
Now.
keys to listening.
So the next one is to recap what you've heard.
Yeah.
Because if all you do is repeat key phrases, you start to sound like.
So you put it in your own words. What I hear you saying is,
Right.
Which is a lot easier for some dads that go, I don't know what to say next. Just mirror back, we call that. What
Exactly.
she just said.
And you can even start off with, I think what you're trying to tell me is,
Oh, that's good.
and then just roll out your thoughts, but then hand the conversation back. Let her respond.
Yeah.
Because
Excellent.
what too many people say is, okay, you're saying this, and then they take the conversation over. Well, if you miss the point and you take the conversation over, now you've frustrated the whole conversation.
You're right. And she doesn't feel heard.
No. So,
Excellent.
Yeah, so give her an opportunity to
Okay.
either clarify or confirm that you've got it. And
Okay.
then the
put it into one positive thing. So let's say, dads are struggling with their daughter. She's just driving you crazy. Pray and ask God to show you one positive thing about your daughter,
Just
and
what?
then just bombard her with.
There you go.
Oh, but you're so unique. You're different than every other daughter on the earth. Just like 27 ways to say you're unique.
Oh, I love
so
it.
it's 101. Yeah.
And it's really important because studies show women think they're successful if enough people tell them they're successful.
Right.
There
And
you
the most
go.
important voice is dad.
Okay. So much more we could talk about, but those that want to get your book, you've got a chapter titled Waffles and Spaghetti as Parents. So dads, you can get some practical things there. I love that you guys talk about applauding your kids' dreams. That's beautiful too. But I got to read one more thing that you say on page 181 and 182 of your book, which is in terms of future success, the discernment to recognize a good choice in a mate and the ability to maintain emotional balance in life. Dad is the difference. And a child's relationship with dad is the most important factor in determining how he or she will react to the rest of the world. And I put a big fat yes with exclamation points. So even dad, if you are needing some encouragement, Bill and Pam in their book will encourage you by really celebrating your role as a dad. Well, I end every show with a go step. So I want to ask each of you, if you were to give dads now, each of you can share one thing that a dad could do today to better validate his daughter's delicious spaghetti wiring. What would you say to that, Dad?
I'm going to say learn that men and women process stress differently. And so your daughter's going to talk her way through stress. Like when I'm stressed out, my mom knows it, my sister knows it, my best friend knows it, the clerk at the grocery store will know it. So your daughter needs to talk her way through stress. But you as a man like to go your favorite easy boxes to rest and recharge. God kind of helps us girls out in that most of boxes are shaped like boxes, these rechargers. TV screen, the computer, the iPhone, the football field, basketball court, baseball diamond, refrigerator, those are all shaped like boxes. But invite your daughter into one of your favorite easy boxes. Let her get to know your favorite things, because that you'll be yourself when you're in one of your favorite easy boxes.
And then she connects.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. How about for you, Bill?
I would say to dads, tell your daughters often, I believe in you. And tell your sons, I'm proud of you. And never get tired of saying those two things.
Love it. Oh, my goodness. Bill and Pam Farrel, thank you so much for being here. Tell people again where they can find you.
love-wise.com is our website. Lots of freebies there.
Oh, thank you both for sharing your heart, your wisdom, and your lives with us today. Well, On Your Mark has been Dads Are Like Waffles, Daughters Are Like Spaghetti. Been here with Bill and Pam Farrel. Well, this wraps up another week's program. It's been so fun to be here with you all. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the Dad Whisperer, signing off and encouraging you to make today where you intentionally and consistently invest in pursuing your daughter's hearts. Go Dads.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. If you're looking for more resources to support the father-daughter relationship, or if you want to connect personally with Dr. Michelle, you can find all the information you need at drmichellewatson.com. That's drmichellewatson.com. And remember, you can listen to the Dad Whisperer podcast anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. And while you're there, we'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again on the next edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.